On a Saturday, on a beautiful day, so I want us to start by introducing ourselves, breaking the ice. So my name is Ronti. I'm going to be the host for today. So we are going to go this way, so that way we all know each other. For coming. The purpose of this workshop is to talk about intergeneration, AI, and build a relationship with seniors and youth. Some of our youth are not, they can't make it today, but we're enough. We have a couple of youth in the house, a couple of youth. So we are going to be watching a movie. It's called Coded by Us. Some of us have watched it before, and we have some questionnaires that we're going to be filling out. We'll be answering some questions after watching the movie. I want us to pay attention, take note. How our technologies have taken over, and we tend to kind of believe everything we see in the media. We are living in the world of media right now. Unlike the days of Mama Uju, Mama Nike, when there's no phones, when there is no internet, we kind of do something. I don't know how they visit each other then. I know when I'm going to my sister's house, I just go. I don't need to call. I'll be praying, they are home. If I need to write a letter to someone, we write letters then. So that's how we build relationship. That's how we build friendship there. But right now, we might be living in the same city, and we might not see each other for a year. Just phone call, so that's separation. I know Joseph. So just so you know, Joseph is the president of, go ahead, introduce yourself.
So I'm the president of the Black Graduate Student Association of the University of Alberta.
Yeah.
Black graduate?
Black graduate.
Graduate.
Oh,
Graduate.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because I know I attended a gala night.
Oh, yeah, so that was for the BSc, that's the Black Student Association. So that's for the undergraduate group. So the Black undergraduate group, yeah, and we also have the Black graduate group. So those who are doing their masters and their PhD. So I'm doing
that's
my
what I wanted to.
Yeah. So I'm doing my PhD. So that association.
You're doing your PhD and you're complaining that you didn't dress well. Because it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. You shouldn't be dressing well.
Not even be part of it.
I give up.
Congratulations, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I know we're having a discussion earlier how we, the Black people, with our parents, they're not satisfied with just degree. They need a master's, they need a PhD, they need more from us.
You can say that again.
So this group, we're going to be talking. It's a lot of interaction. I want us to interact. If you're not talking, I'll be calling our names. I'll call you Titi, I'll call you Little Grace to say something. We learn from each other. The title of the first program is Each One, Teach One. We each other, we teach each other. And let's watch this movie.
Using historic, data to predict something, which is very interesting because when you think of all the ads we receive on our phones or all the videos that are they're given to us, it's based off of that previous history of what we've already are interested in, and somehow our phone knows that. Yeah.
Isn't that just funny? Like you're thinking of something and you look at your phone and you have so many ad of it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll be like, I was thinking about something and I'm looking at Facebook, I'm seeing a bunch of ad about the same thing. Has that ever happened to you guys?
It happens almost every time. Sometimes I feel like we live in an era where everything is magic. You might not term it as magic, but the ability for these machines to predict and also to learn your thinking pattern, I call it magic, and that's how I define technology. I call it magic because I've seen it happen several times. You are thinking of buying something, you go and you see an advert just right about that. You're like, this was in my mind. How did it translate on my phone? Is the phone reading my mind? And I think it's something which we need a conversation about. Yeah.
Not even landline. How do we live? How do you guys live? How do you visit family outside from one village to another? The plane, those things just how, because young people can compare how do you guys now live?
He told us that these phones we are holding can do 250 things. And we just know how to make calls, send text messages, do WhatsApp, and that's fine. That's fine with us. Then I didn't even know Instagram, Facebook. I was not interested in those ones. As long as I can make my calls, I was fine. But I would really want to watch this movie on my own very well, because I heard some things like the last speaker said AI, they mentioned the disadvantage is power, that everybody is fighting about ownership of the code.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
That's what I was interested in, that one, because it is really what it is. Everybody, Apple will come out and then say, this one, Steve Jobs will come out, this one will come, the other one will come.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people that are fighting for ownership of the code.
He mentioned the fact that data is destiny and that data is power. We live in a generation, right, where the next, circle of war and warfare wouldn't be about weapons and those kind of stuff, or the next circle of world dominance wouldn't be about weapons and those kind of stuff. It will be about the one who controls data and the one who controls new technologies. I get my point. So now you see that in this current generation there is a battle between USA and China because of data and because of technology. I get to mean the one who can generate more power, data power, is the one who controls the world. I get my point. So now things are changing. Data is a gold mine, and that's where the question is: how much of our data are we giving out unknown? I get my point. And how much of those data is censored, or how much of those data is biased or unbiased? And I think that's why watching such a movie is really, really important, because it's gonna make us know that, okay, so this data is biased or this data is not biased, and how is our data being taken from us? Because the reason why my phone can detect that I'm thinking about buying this thing is because of data. The phone has studied me. On Monday, my phone knows that I'll go here. Trust me, I'll pick my phone and the first thing that will pop up is that same address, because the phone knows that on every Monday I go here. And it's crazy. So it's magic. Back to my point.
I was browsing online because I always check about AI, technology and stuff. So some scientists said we have already discovered like 4% of what the world technology can do. Then if you have already discovered about 4%, what about the other 96%? What is out there? Just like now, there's teleportation they're yet to discover. Just like the way there was just gas, there was no electric car. But now we didn't know electric car was possible. We brought it out. Robots, we didn't know it was going to be possible. It's still coming out. Even like virtual reality, it's already out. So like there are still more still coming out.
The study lane is on your phone. And for me it's really important for our generation, our young people, to understand that everything you see is not the way it is. You have to have critical thinking, you have to think, you have to question, ask questions about how things are. If something happened, find out on your own. because this AI is also wrong. Like you said, they pour into AI to tell us what we want to hear. So it's been built, it's been diagnosed, it's been informed by somebody, and which can be corrupted.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it's really such a good movie to make up for other race. Like for example, if you're applying for a credit card, if you're black or if you're India or if we had that conversation about most people are changing their name because on their resume you want to have a nice fancy name that they can see it and hire you. Or you don't want to have Oluranti, one big ass name, you know, like something strong. They'll be like, no. So, of course, you won't get that job. So those are the negative and positive part of AI. However, like Titi said, we need to embrace it because it makes life easy. Like now, if they're doing operation, I know U of A, they've started using that. When doctor would take like 24 hours to do one certain operation, AI would do it in less than 15 minutes. You know, something that would take you 10 years might be 1 year. Yep. You know, those positive things, fast paced. You know, like Joseph said, we need to, the world is changing, we need to change with the world.
Crazy. The world is changing. You know, like the lady says something about the fact that she said that technology is a reflection of society.
Yeah.
Now, she said that to generate artificial intelligence, there is something called machine learning. I get my point. Now, machine learning is just like the same thing. Machine is learning, or a learning machine. And how does the machine learn? The machine learns by feeding the machine with plenty information, which is what we call data. So now you feed the machine with plenty data so that the machine can now use that data to predict that data, and that's what becomes algorithm. The machine can now use, so for example, those of you who go on TikTok, the best thing about TikTok is the TikTok algorithm. It can predict the kind of stuff you like, and it can now give you the kind of stuff you like, because he knows that, oh, when you see this video, you stay there for 1 minute.
Yeah.
This video just went up. Okay, so you don't like this video. So that your behavior, your emotions, whatever, is feeding like a data center, is feeding the machine how to predict your next behavior. So now, the next time you go on TikTok, it will give you those exact same thing. I get my point. Now, that's how we create algorithm, and that's how we create data. But he said that technology is a reflection of society. Don't forget that most of these algorithms, or most of these data is being fed by human beings. I get me. So any biases in society can be translated to technology. I get me. So now, if I am a white man and I am trying to train an AI model. Like for example, I train AI model. I practically train AI model with STEM. So I do science stuff. So I train STEM AI models. So and I feed these AI models with STEM related stuff. And because I'm a black man, maybe I might be there's that unconscious bias for me to give these AI models things which are related to my culture as a black person. That is what a white man will also do. There is conscious bias and there is unconscious bias. And most people, whether you like it or not, at a point in time, like demonstrate unconscious bias. And it's part of life, but you have to make sure, you have to find ways and means to control unconscious bias. But for conscious bias is something which you shouldn't try to do it. I get it. So people train AI models with unconscious bias and feed it with unconscious biased data so that this AI will see a resume. Now most HR don't have time to review resume. No one reviews resume again. So you submit about hundreds resume, and now this AI will just filter about 4 or 5 for the HR. Then the HR will now review it and reach out to 2 or 3 of them to come for interview. So people apply to 100 jobs and they wouldn't get it. Sometimes the AI just rejects your application based on your surname. You have this heavy Nigerian name. like of course. The AI was something like George Brown, George Washington, Kelly something, and you have like you Olumide Adawulo. Like, can you tell me this? Yeah, that's not my point. Yeah. And because these AI models were being trained by a white man, like the white man like gave him names that are white related. I get my point, not black related. So this data at that point in time is biased against like the minority, the visible, the invisible minority. So you submit the application, you won't get a call from the HR because your resume didn't even get to the HR. It was taken away by the AI. And sound like it's funny. That's why we have to have such a conversation to actually broaden our scope of how things are moving. But you cannot fight it. That's the thing. You cannot fight AI. Like you cannot fight technology. Things are changing. You cannot. I'm a medical doctor from Ghana. I was trained as a medical doctor, and I'm doing my PhD. Like you cannot fight the influence of artificial intelligence in medicine. You cannot. Like you practically cannot. I mean, she mentioned robotic surgery. It has been existing for quite some time now. You cannot. I have stayed I've stayed in a theater room and seen a surgeon stay on his feet for like 10 hours. But a machine can get it done within 1 hour. So we want things to go for the betterment of human beings, but it will come at a cost. So those who can adapt early, they enjoy. Those who cannot adapt, you are left behind. That has always been how history has always been formed.
So could it also be the biases in AI? Could it also be because people of color aren't often in that field?
Yes.
And why do we think that people of color are not in that field? In
That
the
is such a good question.
the technology fields and the AI fields.
That is such a good question.
And what's the solution?
Like it's funny because the average Nigerian
person.
mother wants the child to become a doctor,
Lawyer.
lawyer.
No computer science.
No computer science. You don't want your daughter to carry. I mean, okay, now things have changed because you're in Canada, so you see how things are going. But the average like Nigerian or the average Ghanaian in Ghana or whatever, or Kenyan, you have to become a doctor. That's how I became a doctor. Because my mom says you have to become a doctor. And I'm like, and at that point in time, you are growing up saying, I have to become a doctor, I have to become a doctor. Before you realize, like, you are in a medical school and you are coming out. So we are not so much pushed into like artificial intelligence. And anyone who is coming to Canada, in Canada, I learned that, there's a demand for nurses. I have to become a nurse in Canada. I have to become a nurse in UK. But we need people in technology. We need people in policy, making areas, and that's the thing.
I think that's such a good question, Titi. And like you said, Joseph, you can say it better. Like I know when I was growing up, they wanted me to be a nurse. I ate it. You know, I was like, man, the first year in college, I was like, after I'm like, no way, I can't be saucy. You know, I don't like this. I'm a talker, I like talking, I want to be a social worker. Then I am able to move. And there's a lot of people of color that are in the wrong field, that they ate so much because of their parents. And like you said, why don't we, that's why we're having this conversation now. We only see this lady, the black lady that spoke, she's actually Nigerian. And she was brought up here. She was born in Canada actually, moved to the States, and that's why she's able to, one of how many in computer science, she's able to do that. She's the only black colored person, you know? So yeah, that's such a good question. That's why we're having this conversation, and your generation now, to be able to push our kids into unforeseen things, you know, having foresight, like, okay, maybe doctor might know it's not all about doctor or lawyer, you know, computer science, you know, lawmakers, politics, and all those good things. And I think that's why we are left behind. Because if someone of color builds something, there's going to be unconscious bias to, you know, at least build one thing.
That, you know, for those names, those Nigerian names, that, you know, don't, you know. So I'm wondering whether we, you know, blacks can have our own version of of AI, whether it's possible for us to build that.
You know, like that's possible, right? And that's what I feel like the next generation of blacks should actually try to venture into. Now, there are some platforms which have taken dominance. I get my points. Like you cannot compete with Meta, like Facebook and Instagram. You cannot compete with them. They are up there. Amazon, you cannot. These people have shaping a narrative. Like when I say shaping, they have changed how things have are being done. I get my point. So now we have to, so like there's this phrase I always make, that to be successful in the future, you should be able to foresee the problems of the future and start creating solutions for the problems of the future. That's when the millionaires and the billionaires come. You see the problems of the future and you create a solution from now. And trust me, it will be adopted as time goes on.
Yeah.
Like things are, like there will definitely be resistance. There will be fight back, of course, definitely. But if we can think, and it's so difficult to think. Like for example, like the Uber example, like it was a simple thought process. If I can create a ride share app where I can give employment to people, where they can say, I want to go here, someone will come and pick them. It is so simple. Like so simple. Like for example, one name Airbnb. It is so simple. Like this is something which we were doing in Africa.
Yeah.
In Africa, we have a commercial car which comes around picking everyone. In Ghana, we call it chotro. I don't know how you call it in Nigeria.
Danfo, all those things, yeah.
That's the same thing. That's Uber, like that's the same thing. Like that's Uber, which has been
existing.
It's the same thing. I get to me. It's the same Uber that we are doing now. In Africa, we have like Airbnb, but it's in a different way. So someone said, okay, I want to create something called Airbnb. The person has become rich by that. So it's high time we start looking at the things which we do in Africa and try to add some bit of technology and education to it. And that's when we can explode. Without it, the world is moving faster. Like Amazon, like Apple, they are not stopping. Honestly, they are not. They are going into various fields. Like Amazon is not just into like buying stuff on Prime. No, now they are branching into different fields because they don't want to be irrelevant in the changing world. I get my point.
Yeah, and if you look at Amazon, it started with a book. Where you can sell your old book. When you buy your textbook, instead of dumping it, you can resell it, share that from book. You see the need that, let me be inside and order product and all those things. And when you said, why can't we Black create something of our own? You have to also understand that these people, they didn't get it at one shot. Do we have the patience to spend 10 years on creating something and we know it's a failure and we continue to do it? Amazon started in its basement, in a one room. It was there, just one book room, side doing it. Consistency, patient, the tolerant. As a Black person, we like fast money. We want to do it right now. Okay, let's make it, let me be big. That's what we're taker. That's what we're known for. But the other people, they take time, they study, they fail. Just like the guy that invented bulb. 99 times, he keep failing until you got it. Facebook, when Facebook started, I watched the documentary. There are a group of people. He has partner. Apparently he has partner that they did some coding. He said, oh, let me create something where people from all over the world, even though if I just put Joseph, if I didn't get your last name very well, you will pop up. Where we can all meet together regardless of where we are. And he started. I'm sure they must have done so many things for them to be able to connect that platform and decide working. Twitter, LinkedIn, all those things. As we are putting it onto our next generation to be able to, like you said, see a problem, think ahead of it. Like, remember we have Facebook then. Then someone say, Facebook is boring. Instagram is fast. You can post longer picture, we can do this. Remember before iPhone, we have BlackBerry. Yeah. But BlackBerry does not have foresight to think that, and then BlackBerry started the chat thing. So if you have BlackBerry, we can all chat. But then WhatsApp came. But BlackBerry did not have the foresight to take it to the higher level. Then it died. Remember there was Nokia? Yes. Nokia phone, that big phone. Titi, you might not know Nokia. Oh, there's a Nokia phone then. He was the thing, 3310, 2010, all those solid phone. But they could not think beyond where they are. Then iPhone came. BlackBerry came. BlackBerry lasted for a while, died because they didn't have foresight.
Yep.
But iPhone keep upgrading.
Yep.
Keep upgrading, and every year they're coming up with new things. So as individual, you know, this is to our next generation. Maybe your generation is over. You know, our own generation, we're still trying, you know. And then TT generation, we're hoping something good will come out. They will do something best, and they create something because they are thinking fast. You know, like I will say some things my kids will be like, the other day my daughter said, oh mom, you need to be thinking ahead. You need to move, you know, you need to move faster. I'm like, you know, I was like, okay, where am I? She's telling me that, oh, that's old school. This is new school. And I'm like, wow. So we hope.
And the thing is that, like, as parents, right, and as grandparents, right, we should allow our kids and our grandchildren to explore. Like, I mean, you know, I'm a typical Ghanaian man, trust me. Like, I want to control stuff. I don't want my children, but I feel like we have to sometimes try to loosen up on them small, allow them to explore different fields. Under regulation, of course, you cannot come full in my house. You have to be under regulation, but there should be, you should be able to like intrigue or find ways and means to activate their logical and critical reasoning. So now you see a child who is interested in this particular field. All these prodigies, right? All these like Steve, Jeff Bezos, and all these people, like they were child prodigies. Like they were people who were interested. What the name? Mark Zuckerberg. There were people who were interested in stuff at a very young age, and their parents didn't say, put that thing down, go and read your book. They wanted to do stuff with their hands, and their parents allowed them. Some of them, their parents bought them their first computer when they were at the age of 10. And they started coding because I'm not sure the mother saw that my child will become a billionaire and the richest person in the world. No, but you were like, no, my child seems to like this. Let me push him on. So far as your child doesn't like something which is bad, but likes something which is actually good, you can find ways and means to motivate and encourage him to go ahead and pursue that. The world is changing at a very faster rate, and the new generation of children, they are so smart. Like they are so smart. They are very, very smart. So I think we should allow them to kind of explore small and still under guidance.
Like we used to see the gold, the dig gold. A small grain of gold like this is millions. They will come and follow you in Africa, give you 2,000-3,000. They come and claim millions again. We are lack of the knowledge to bring it out. All these phones. We see like this. The technology they comes from gold. It is in Africa, but we don't know.
Like without Congo, you cannot use iPhone.
Without Congo, for real.
Without Congo, you cannot use iPhone.
What is Congo? Congo is a country.
Congo is in Africa. Without Congo, you cannot use iPhone. Because the most important, the lithium and those kind of stuff, what is being used to power your iPhones and your electric vehicles. Like it's crazy. It's crazy how I think, you know, I've had this conversation several times that, I mean, it's high time we start developing ourselves as Africans and building serious mental fortitude and getting to understand the fact that no one is coming to save you.
No, nobody.
No.
They see something.
And everyone and everything, everyone has interest. Now, like, because of serious geopolitics, every country has an interest. So if a country says, oh, I'm investing $1 million in Congo, of course he has interest. There is something he's after, I get to mean, and there's no way he's gonna give you that $1 million without getting what he, and the thing he would take from you is in billions. It's in billions of dollars. But we live in a generation where the average African leader will prefer to take that $1 $1 million and keep it in his
sell it,
pocket, and now allow people to do whatever thing they want. If we can safeguard our natural resources, trust me, like, oh God.
I learned something today.
A diversity of knowledge, like there is now, like education. What we know, what we are narrowed down to is the one we know. You can't believe me that when I got to Canada 18 years ago, I started hearing about some courses that they do in schools. I was amazed because we don't know about these ones over there. We only dealt with those that we know, or things that we know about. And I tell you, there's somebody still in Canada, he's a Nigerian, and what they told me, he said, the statement he made, my granddaughter told me, I was like, wow, he's an engineer.
Yeah.
And somebody, my other granddaughter said she's studying, told him, okay, I'm in school, I'm studying this. And he said, why? Of all courses, why would you go there? Psychology. Well, listen, if you're not a lawyer, if you're not a doctor, if you're not this one, if you're in Canada. So that's the mindset. He has decided not to change his mindset and follow what is trending, what is on now. If he had said, oh, why not go to technology or computer or so, then I would say yes. But why do you say there are a lot of things in psychology that you can get out of? There are a lot of things happening there. And to see educated person saying you shouldn't go to that area. So that's the problem we have. And secondly, like he talked about the gold. Ghana too has a lot of gold. Oh, Ghana has a lot of gold. Yes. Congo has diamond.
Wow.
A lot of diamond. In fact, one of them, a friend of mine, told me that before, at the back of their house, they can just
and you see
and something comes out.
It's right,
they don't know
there's diamond.
Wow.
But they don't know what
And
it was in those days. But then later on, when they now got to know, then these people had already infiltrated your country. And then once they see you pick the thing up and you're caught, you go to jail in their country for their own mineral.
Exactly.
Wow.
So how do we now salvage this? How do we come out of all this?
Some people that are in IT, this IT that is moving.
Yeah.
Because in the next 4 or 5 years, I see technology as going very far. So this is what's pushing now. So in the next 5 years, IT courses will be paying more. So it's not like everything about nursing, and it's not, because I also want to go with something that I like, something that I have interest in, and then I had interest in computer, right? So I just told him, okay, that you know what, in the next 5 years I see a potential in this technology, and I'm going to start doing it. And he was like, okay, if that's what you want for yourself, that was my choice, I should go ahead. And right now I'm doing IT, and
Awesome.
and it's actually great.
Oh, that's great. I'm sure why you did not like nursing is because there are not so much men in nursing.
Yeah, not too much.
It's mostly when my son wanted to be a doctor, and you know, in Nigeria after JAMB and all that, first choice was medicine, then second choice pharmacy. I actually filled out their forms for them. I did all of them. Then I said, oh wow, you got admitted into School of Pharmacy. And he talked to me and said, that's a female course, I'm not going to do that. That course is for female. Like nurses, nursing too. Most people say it's for female. It's not a male thing, only few males you find there. So I'm happy for you.
You know, like, you know, the issue is not that nursing is bad. Nursing is not bad. Nursing is so perfect, right? But now things are changing in the nursing field. There's more of integration of like artificial intelligence and AI. So like there is nurse bioinformatics, and all those kind of stuff. So those are the courses of the future. I get my point. Most people are quitting the bedside nursing job and doing other nursing related something, which is still nursing, but they are not taking care of patients. I get my point. So you can still become a nurse, but if you can project into the future, you know, okay, this field of nursing, which is related to technology or computer or those kind of stuff, will boom, will go in that direction. Yeah, that's the entire point I want to make.
Also, one thing about IT is like also a course that you don't actually have to wait for what they teach you before you can actually start doing something. Once you have once you have IT knowledge, you can actually decide to start with maybe your website or an app, or you just have an idea and decide to actually publish that idea on something. And if it works out, fine. And you see that, oh, the thing is actually improving. That's one thing about IT. It's very versatile. You don't have to actually wait for someone or the government to actually do something. You can just say, oh, I want to start something, and then you can start it. And that's one thing about IT.
Think about, I get my point. And you know, and we have to also redefine, she mentioned it, we have to redefine the education system. Now, education is not just about formal education. I get my point. I mean, it's not about going to school. It's okay to go to school to get the master's and the doctorate. It's actually perfect. There are some things or there are some careers you need that PhD or that doctorate to do. But things are changing that you can do a 6-month boot camp course, which is still a level of education, and get a cybersecurity certificate and become a cybersecurity analyst and make more money than the person who's going to the university for 4 years. I get my point. So now we have to find out what we want and how to pursue it. But education is crucial, whether formal, informal, training is very crucial. It sharpens your brain. It gives you the required skills for that particular field that you want to do. I mean, it makes you develop soft skills, which ideally you wouldn't have been able to develop those soft skills. I guess my point. And not be out there giving misinformation. You don't have to go to a university. Of course, definitely, I'm sure that time is coming when most people don't go to a university.
No, they won't even be anymore.
You finish your high school, you get a 1-year certification program, and do whatever you want to do. It's still education. But the fact that you say, no, I won't go to school, I'll go to
it might work for them, because there are some people that didn't go to school, that it works for them.
Yeah.
You know, like Bill Gates, he dropped out. You know, Mark.
Those people dropped out. Yeah. No, those people dropped out. For example, Elon Musk dropped out when he was doing his PhD.
Yeah.
That's of course.
I feel like you also drop out when you already know this is what I want to do. You have a vision and you have the motivation. You're gonna put into it. It's just more like people are going into social media nowadays for wrong reasons. And that's where it's like people are like, oh, no 9 to 5. Not like if everybody lives 9 to 5, then it's gonna be
There are a couple of issues that this generation has right now. One is they are very impatient because with technology, back in the days when computers started, you had to first of all dial. You had to dial up.
Yeah.
AOA. You have to make sure your phone connects. And then you're waiting, you hit one button and you gotta wait like a few seconds
before it connects
or minutes before it takes you to the next stage. But technology has evolved so much that right now it clicks. It gets them to the next, another click, it gets them to the next. So they're so used to it. You have a 4-year-old or a 3-year-old knowing how to swipe, using her mom's phone, and as a call coming in, knows exactly which direction to swipe to cut off that call so he can continue, he or she can continue to watch their show on YouTube. Right? That's how advanced kids' brains are right now. And they're so used to that from a very early age that they can get things like at the snap of their finger. So they're looking for shortcuts. So anything that requires them to be patient and wait, they don't want that. So now you've got AI to make even matters worse. You were talking about education and not having to go to college at some point. It's true. Right now, even in high school, all you have to do is type a question into AI, and it can write your own essay for you.
We don't have that.
So why
you have
study?
to think.
right? Why do you have to study when I can get someone to write it for me?
Yeah.
And I can just carry on and being getting promoted. Even beyond that, ChatGPT. Even beyond that, when COVID happened, I always say COVID really messed up this generation.
We had that conversation.
Right? They were at home,
Yeah.
they're studying,
Yeah.
but they were not really studying. They didn't learn anything, but yet they got promoted to the next class. Right? Here in North America, kids they say we don't want to fail any child because it affects their mental health.
The self-esteem.
Right? So my nephew said the other day to his mom, the mom was like, why are you getting 60s and 70s? I know you have the potential to get 90s. He's like, Mom, it doesn't matter.
That's enough. I know.
Either I get 60 or 90, I'm going to go to the next class anyways. My friends are doing it, so why should I bother?
Yeah.
So the mom had to, strike a compromise with him and say, okay, if you get 90s and above, I'll give you $20 for every 90 that you get.
Yeah.
Trying to motivate him. Guess who is getting 99 and 95s?
Because you
And mom is like, I'm running out of money now. She's like, why did I tell this boy this? But he had the potential, but he felt, what's the point? I'm going to get a pass anyways, right? So
when we talked about this before, I said one thing, we talked about being patient, and then another one is laziness. They are just lazy.
Don't share laziness.
They don't even want to task their brain.
They don't, and there's a lot of entitlement. They're just at work now. I mean, generally, one of the challenges that employers have right now is that when you hire a millennial, you can't be too sure they will stay there.
Or they will show up.
That they will show up. And when they show up late. And we ask them why, they're like, well, I slept up.
I know.
Or my alarm didn't go off. Or I went to
stupid.
the gym last night and I sprained my hand. Or I went clubbing last night and I had to woke up with a headache. And you feel like it's okay. I mean, for us, I'm not as old as you, Ma, but when you get a job, you hold on tight. And you do everything you can.
20 years.
20 years.
But now,
there's no loyalty
they
anymore.
don't even want to.
They don't want to
stay.
Even 5 months.
No, 1 month.
1 month. My Ada has somebody in her chambers. She's a lawyer from UK, so she's working with her. Ada enters office in the morning. She doesn't go very early, but the day before she says to her, "Do this, that." Then she enters the office. She's on her computer doing some stuff.
Or other stuff.
And she says, what about, he said, oh, I was waiting for you.
Imagine
Well, you
that.
already know these things.
That's how
Then
they do.
she went on vacation, came back, and then the next day she said, oh, my flight was delayed and my day was messed up. I have to be away. I have to sleep.
Yeah.
Because I didn't sleep well.
Yeah, it's for vacation.
It's crazy.
Then she comes, she's supposed to close at 5. Once it's 2 or 3, she picks her purse and says, I'll see you tomorrow. She said one day, she said, no, you can't see me tomorrow. Because all the things I gave you to do, I've been watching you never did one.
Of course.
And we have a hearing tomorrow. What do we do? And of course she grudgingly sat down. And my daughter is looking at her and saying, this is what my own kids will do. Because
I tell you,
I encouraged the first daughter who is studying psychology. I said, during the holidays, stay with your mom. Go to her office. Because you see, there's something we don't have in Africa. We don't transfer knowledge or business into our kids. So you see some very rich people, when they die, their business dies, their family dies. Everything collapses. We don't have that culture at all. So I said, sit down with her, do this. What will I be doing there?
exactly.
I don't know anything about what to do.
Exactly.
But I don't plan to be a lawyer.
Imagine.
But you're not trying to be a lawyer. You just
learning.
go there and learn. You might use it for other things.
Leadership skills.
You might use it for other things. Just go. So I have these 2 granddaughters. That's how we fight every day.
I know.
And because I have been a teacher, I was a teacher for a long time. So I know certain things and I advise them. But sometimes they refuse to do it and later they come back, Grandma, I should have done that when you said it. Somebody just told me and this, They always want to go to their friends.
Yeah, and double check what you've said.
Yes, yeah. And for advice.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
For advice, whatever their friend said, and she said, even my friend told me, you can take 1 year
Of school.
Yeah.
So to do what?
What is your reason?
To do what?
What is your reason? What are you going to be doing?
Cooling their brain.
Oh, well, you see, these 6 years or how many years they do their school, you know, I never had a break. I'm so tired, I need to rest. After resting.
Rest for 1 year.
So I said, who told you that? Did you? She didn't rest for 1 year. He said, oh yeah, that's true.
Imagine.
Yeah.
She didn't rest. She went straight into school. And now she's advised
That we are.
We try our very best.
we are really doing
Right? To do better and exceed expectation. I mean, look now, we have a lot of physicians back home that are being asked to move over here. Nurses, right? They're coming over here and they're actually one of the best doctors and nurses because they learned under very, very stressful conditions. And yet they exceeded. So when they come here and there's access to everything, they're like, oh, that's small. I know how to do that even without this, right? So they're doing so well. But it would be nice because this generation, like we've all mentioned, is they're lazy. They like shortcuts. So maybe what they need is a little bit more access to more technology back home to help them get to the next level. But however, there's a lot of misplaced priorities now. When you're looking at social media and your role model, your role model is an influencer.
Oh my God.
Right? Back in the days, our role models were either, the doctors or the lawyers or your parents, because, they just, you're very focused. After school, there's school. We had a lesson.
Oh, lesson. You have to go to lesson.
Right? And you get home,
God.
there's no light.
Yeah.
Or there's light. There's light and the TV is locked.
Or there's no current.
Or there's no current. Or the TV is locked, so you can't watch
TV.
So then you're forced to either read your book or go outside and play and apply your senses.
Yeah.
But here, all day, every day,
There's no critical thinking.
they move they move from the phone, they move to the laptop, even in school.
Even in school, yeah.
Even in school right now, they're using electronics. That's how they learn.
My cousin bought me an Mac laptop, iMac since last year, and I have my HP. I don't know how to navigate iMac, and I was like, and my kids said, Mom, how come you're not using your MacBook? I'm like, I'm still trying to find out how to use it. And she's 9, she's like, that's what they use in school.
Yes.
I'll teach you, Mom. That's how And I'm like, I'm content with my HP, just let me be struggling with that. I love that, I know how to work that. Anyway, this is such a good meeting. I love the interactive part.
We also learn how to make money from YouTube. I really want to know that.
You want to start doing YouTube?
Yeah, sure. I have TikTok account.
Mommy, all these grammars are now.
Things are changing, and I like how the grandparents are also trying to adapt quickly to fit into the current narrative. Like it's a nice thing to be bold. And like as I said, I'm not against social media. I'm on every social media platform, right? And I feel like there is the good usage of social media. Yeah, and now like we live in a in the social economy, and your social currency is very, very important. So like I have a little sister who wants to be on social media and fool around. I'm like, no, you cannot post stupid things on social media.
Because it stays there.
Yeah, because it stays there. The internet doesn't forget. So you have to be very conscious of the kind of things you are doing on social media and the value proposition you are giving to people, and that value will bring that money, but not to go and sit there and give misinformation, conspiracy theories and things that don't like really matter. But if you go on social media and give value to people, people will watch you, and the algorithm will pay you.
Yeah.
I get my point.
I know.
And that's how things are going, like things are going that way. But you don't stop, like you don't try to not get any form of education, whether formal, informal, training, whatever. You be like, I want to just be on social media. No, come on. Find something better to do with your
If you
life.
love gaming, make money, develop something.
Develop something.
Just don't be gaming, you're making money for
I
other
think
people.
the issue right now is the scale is very tilted, is not balanced. Right? It's gotta be balanced. You're spending time on social media, get some education, balance it out. Our seniors have been around for generations, they've got a wealth of experience, right? And now they're moving with the times, and they're like, oh, now I gotta learn how to use social media. So now they are caught with times, but with the newer generation, all they want to learn is technology, and then how to even interact or socialize is missing. They're sitting in the same room next to each other,
talking.
and they're texting
Each other.
because they can't communicate.
They can't.
And when you read those text messages, you can't even understand what they're saying.
I know.
Too many abbreviations.
My kids are saying bro. I was like, is that your friend's name? I said,
I'm
no,
like,
that's
what
a
is
bro.
that?
Like, what's that?
Speaking about that was recently I gave a speech.
Titi, you're laughing at me.
I gave a speech during my drama class on screen time. Like too much screen time is not good. I will use an example of during family when they're having a dining. You can see most of your children instead of them to be having like a normal conversation, eating together and talking, but no, they are just either interacting with their phone or doing something else with their laptop. In that kind of way, they're not actually connecting with the family, having like a normal discussion. They just like eat, chat to my phone, and go back to my room, and there's no connection or even unison in the family because of the phone. It's causing distraction between them.
And not just the young generation, even the parents. The parents, even the adults.
The mother is on Instagram, the father is on TikTok. Like
everybody's on the phone, not just the younger generation.
I was speaking with a client the other day, and she said, Timmy, my grandkids came to spend their spring break with me, which was just a few weeks ago. And she said the whole house was so quiet. There was no TV on, but they were so quiet. So she walked into, I was in the kitchen, so I walked into the living room to figure out what's going on. Is the TV spoiled or what's happening? Nobody's talking. They were all like this.
Everybody's busy in their rooms. Everybody's
and
busy.
even when she tried to, get them away from it and talk,
they wouldn't.
It's like, oh, how you guys doing? I have not seen you for a while.
Good.
What have you been up to?
No.
We're good, Grandma.
We're good, Grandma. Back to the phone.
But the problem is, it's not like they don't want to talk to each other. They don't
That's
know
what they
how.
They don't know how.
They don't know how to talk to each other. What do we say? Emojis.
How do you start a conversation?
They make emojis to make conversation.
They have emojis to react to everything now. So there's a huge gap and huge problem. If we don't
they can't write properly, and you see them, they can't form a sentence, they cannot write properly because they are writing in short. Some in my group, I have to tell them, you need to tell me what all this is. What is BATS? Or Tina, you're so old. That is talking to you something. TBS. They will just everything is just like.
And it's
I always say that like if all conditions were equal, like it would be nice for, like, back to the point I was making earlier, for every parent in the diaspora to at least send their children to Africa every now and then. You can either go and stay with them for like 2 months or 1 month, or just go and drop them there or pick a flight for them and just come home. Let them bond.
So that was back then. That was a good idea.
I mean,
15 years ago.
So like, you can go and stay with them. You can go and stay like 2 weeks,
Summertime.
1 month, and come like so that they can form that social
there are a lot of
stuff.
things to that.
Even back
And
now,
there's a-
kids
yeah.
are.
We've changed. We've evolved.
We've evolved.
We're actually more advanced than the kids here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
We would
yeah.
actually corrupt the kids here. I'm telling you. Now, not to say that the kids here are all good or the kids there are all bad. No, there's a mix everywhere, right? But
She continue. I just left that place. I changed the position.
so if you decide back in the days to train your kids and want to teach them a lesson about life, you will buy them a ticket. They don't know where they're going. I mean, you drop it at home and you leave them there with grandma or grandpa and come back.
Grandma now does not have time to.
No. You don't want to do that because by the time you get back and you go pick your child, they're a totally different human being.
Yeah.
Right here, you still have a system where, they wake up in the morning, they go to school. They come back. If they're in school, they don't show up in school, you'll get a text message or a phone call to let you know your child is not in school. If they are in school in the morning but then they miss a class during the day, you will get a text message saying your child missed a class. So at least you know where your child is at each time. And then they get home and all of that, there's a system. Back home, there's not much of a system.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? You have a parent who needs to be able to pay for tuition. We don't pay for tuition here. We pay a few things, but not crazy. You're paying hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of naira to keep your kid in school. So you have to work in order to pay.
Yeah.
So you go up early in the morning to work. Especially if you're in Lagos. You have to wake up at 4 a.m. You get to work. You close at 5. You don't get home till 11 p.m. By the time you get home, your kid is in bed. When you leave in the morning, they're still asleep. So you don't know what happened from 5 p.m. when you left home till 11 p.m. at night. You have someone else teaching your kids, training your kids on how to live their life.
Yeah, that's true.
On the weekend, there's a party. Oh, I'm bad. You gotta dress so you have to show up. So Sunday,
There's church.
there's church.
You spend the whole day in
You
church.
spend the whole day in church to get back home.
And then you
So,
rest.
and then you have to rest and prepare again and do it all over again. So there is that disconnect between parents and kids at home. Nothing against the parents. They have to work
Of course.
in order
Bills
to
must
pay
be
the
paid.
bills.
Yeah.
So you find a lot of kids growing and learning on their own from social media, from the TV, from the guardians that you have taking care of them at home. Be it the driver, the washerman, the maid. And now they're teaching your kids all sort of things. Right? And then one day, it just blows up in your face and be like, I didn't know my child was like that.
Yeah.
Where did you learn all of that from? Right? When we were growing up, it was easier because we had parents who were at home and one parent going to work.
Yeah.
Our parents didn't have to really hustle in order to take care of things. There was always one parent at home. So it was easier to send your kid from here to go home because there's someone at home to teach them the right thing, right? But these days it's scary, the things that you see online. I was reading online the other day, just last week, there was traffic going from Lagos Lagos Island to mainland. And people left to work at 6, 7. They didn't get home till 3 a.m. 3 a.m. the next day. And by 5 a.m. they had to be up again and go back.
The same thing.
So tell me, if that happens 3, 4, 5 times in a month, where do they have the energy to even say, how are you, my child? Right? So the economy and the system doesn't help to strike that balance between what we call work-life balance and take care of your home and take care of your children. Here we still have a bit. I can leave work at 5 and predict that I'll be home by 5:30.
Yeah.
I just go on Google and check the traffic. Okay, if this route does not work, I'll take Henday, or maybe I'll take White Mud. There's only one way street. I take Third Mainland Bridge or not. You gotta get home.
Yeah.
So a lot of flexibility here to help in training your kids, be available. You're basically the maid, you're the driver, you're the cook. So you are available, you're present.
Yep.
At home, parents are not so present.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard, you know. Hence why your child might wake up one day and say, I'm done going to school.
Yep.
Or they haven't even been to school.
They don't call.
And you don't even know.
Yep.
So it's actually easier to put your kids in boarding schools now.
Yeah.
Back home.
I was coming to that.
Can you afford the
There's that.
That.
But even the ones that can pay, it's not turning out the same way. I went to boarding school at the age of 5.
and
At the age of 5, primary 1, I started boarding school.
Which school is that, my sister?
Oh, it was back in Ondo State, right? Yes. It was the best school there, normally, nursery and primary school in Akure. So I started at the age of 5, me and my elder sister. I figured my dad did not like us. That's why he sent us to boarding school. But why would you send us to boarding school that early?
I know.
But honestly,
Now 3 they are in school.
honestly, years later now, I'm actually glad that I went to boarding school at that time because I became so independent and I can take care of things. By the time, they pulled us out of school about a couple years, boarding school about a couple years later because my mom just would not let my dad rest. It was like, no, she's like, no, my kids are suffering, take them out. By 3 years later when we were going to high school, secondary school, at the age of 10, I got to the door, I just said bye and I didn't look back.
Yeah.
And all the kids were crying that their parents should take them home. Yeah, I'm like, what's wrong with this one? I'm used to it. And it helped. Now, was it easy? No, I suffered. I had cuts, I had bruises, I had to dig the floor dig my own well to get water out of the ground. We had to, learn how to make fire out of nothing and cook concussion. Right? Because the food in the dining hall was not exactly the greatest. But we learned survival skills, and it helped. That was back then. I don't think I would send my kid to a boarding school back home now. A lot has changed. But it's on.
Go to the school and kidnap the kids.
Yeah.
Especially when they know that the parents are in Canada.
Do you want to put your child out there in danger?
True.
So it's so difficult, and like you were saying, taking them back home. Yes, there are 2 or 3 things involved. One is finances. If you have 3-4 kids, you want to take them back home.
That's like
the ticket
like 10,000
is a problem.
It is.
Then, secondly, you need to know where they go to, because some children go out, they don't come back anymore. It's not that they went out or they got missing willingly, but something would have taken them away, and you don't get to see the child anymore.
Hey.
Yeah.
So it becomes a big problem. You don't even know which one to do. You keep them in Lagos, it's a problem. You take them to the village, it's a problem. I don't know if a village is better.
Village is any better.
Okay, I was speaking in the context of Ghana. Because Ghana, we don't have that kidnapping stuff and those kind of stuff. So maybe they have a point. It's speaking from the experience of being in Nigeria. But in Ghana, you can live. No one will even think about kidnapping your child. No one cares about your child. No one even knows that your child is in. Those kind of stuff.
It's a problem.
It is.
Like in 2000, and they loved Abuja so much. They are teenagers. Then when we got to Lagos, it was like, whoa. So there's a place like this. And they started making arrangements with their friends to travel to Nigeria. Their mom was freaking out. I said, no, you cannot go anywhere. You're not going.
Right.
You are not going. Which friend? And where are you going to? And they want to go every year. But we haven't been able to.
December is
Nigeria is my daughter is here. How old are you now? 11? Almost 12. I took her home for the first time. Yeah. Right? And she loved it.
My son.
And that was 3 years ago, or 4 years now. 4 years ago, and even with the mosquitoes and the heat, she was like, I'm fine, I'm good.
I'm around. They just
And I asked her, I said, well, you know, they treat me like a princess.
Yeah.
It's so much fun here, Mom. It's so much fun. You know, they had good food, they had friends, they had, the weather was nice, there was no snow outside, you know, and you know, you had neighbors that would come say hello.
Yeah.
You meet new people. Nigeria is amazing. It's just,
Just need some change.
you just have to have a lot of, and she always said that we need to go back.
Africa.
We need to go back, Mom. I'm like, yeah, it's not that cheap to go home.
Are you ready to go?
Like, those are the kind of experiences, like, those are the experiences I want us to be giving to our children every now and then, so that they would learn to love Africa. They will learn to, like, love their heritage as a black person. I guess because some of them might in the future want to go to Africa and start a business or do something that will like develop the country or that will develop Nigeria or Ghana. But if we create that narrative that Africa is this monstrous, like this hell, I mean, your child will not grow up loving the continent and wouldn't want to do anything with the continent because of how we brought them up. And I think like that's something which we can change, which we can help the next generation to understand that Africa is a place like I mean Africa is where our ancestors are from. We are blacks, like this is who we are. Yeah.
I think this is such a good first workshop. I love it. The interaction, this is what we want to take from it, you know, learn from each other, like the title, each one teach one. You know, honestly, we can sit here all night and continue to talk about the bias, good and bad, and pros and cons. I really appreciate everybody for coming. You know, like I said, we have 7 more workshops, you know. So we have a group, all the grandmas, adding you because she has to be. You know, thank you so much for coming. Titi, thanks for your input. Grandmas, thank you. Grandpas, thank you so much. You know, I hope we're taking something home here. You know, AI is good and it's not bad. It brings out what you feed it. You know, it's about people. You know, it's just like when someone is telling you about other person. You know, what we hear, we have that unconscious bias about other people. It's the same thing with AI. You know, it's human being that feed it and they actually bring out what is being taught. So let's be conscious about making decisions when we see things, question things, ask questions. Just don't believe things with the face value, yeah? Ask questions, no more digging. And I think we are heading towards a good place. You know, we are looking onto our new generation to do something. I want you guys to develop something and so that's how we can have black people doing things as well. You know, see them behind being a computer science and creating stuff. Thank you all for coming. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.